am Shine, and I hope you all are doing well today. This is Friday afternoon, evening, kind of, and I have been meaning to get this video up now for a while. And there was no reason why I didn't. I just didn't do it, I guess. I don't really have any more to offer you guys except for that. I just didn't do it. Sorry, I'm trying to find a color and I'm a little confused right now. With what color this is. 907. Do I have a 907? I need a plain one. This is an AB. This is an AB. I don't want an AB. I want a non-AB. Shoot. I hate when that happens. Well, let's see, because this one is also an AB 38. Don't you hate when you, I ran out of the color that I needed. And then this one is not what I need. And I don't know if I have any more. Kind of a, ooh, I do. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Okay, I have it. So I'm using, 2 colors actually for this one, which is why you see the neon green in there too. And that neon green is Glow Glass. And I don't remember what it's, I think it's Neon Lime. Yeah, I believe it's lime. Anyways, so I've been using that for the leaves inside of, on her head thing, and on her bodice thing, and on her little waist. But on, her wings, I'm using the regular color. I have added extra colors, extra ABs, to her wings, but the Glow Glass is not in her wings. So I know people will probably why didn't you do it in her wings? That's kind of where I would have thought to do it. I don't know why I did it that way. I just did. And I like it. I really, really like how it's turning out. It is freaking beautiful. I'm gonna have it done hopefully by the end of the weekend. I'm praying that I have it done by then, because this painting, it's taken me longer than I think any other painting. And it's not because it's hard or anything. It's just because of time. Time to sit and just diamond paint. Which you'd think I would have all the time in the world, because I'm on, light duty bed rest kind of a thing. You'd think, oh, she must have, all the time in the world to just sit and diamond paint. False. No, I do not. I do not. I have stuff that I do around the house. And I also, have a shop that I have to maintain. I have been doing very little, though, this week. And I'll get to that, but I've been doing very little this week in the shop. And then we had the Hanathon not long ago. And I was really, really busy during that Hanathon, keeping points, sorry, Lincoln, quiet, please. Lincoln, whisper. Keeping points during that, when there was 150 people, which was insane. I cannot tell you how excited I still am over the fact that we had almost 150 people, and this was the first go around. This was the first time we've done it. And I was I hope we have at least 50 people. That's kind of where I was basing my expectation, I guess, at. And yeah, you guys just blew me out of the water. And I loved every minute of it. I know it was busy. Sometimes it was confusing because I was wait a minute. They are trying to have points, but they're not registered. And for whatever reason, I'm gonna pause. I apologize for that. My son's friend came to the door, and this kid, like, my dog, Lincoln, does not like him. He really does not like him. It's like one of his only friends that he acts that way towards. It's really weird. But I'm not super keen on him either, so maybe Lincoln picks up that from me. Possibly. Anyways, so I do apologize. I forgot to say this in the beginning, but I am still at my gosh darn coffee table, and my camera hooks up to the table itself, and the table is one of those that's like the top portion of it, you pick it up and you like bring it up to you, so that it's on like these springs kind of a thing, and when the table wiggles like this, see that? The camera wiggles a little bit. I try really hard to keep it from doing that, but it is impossible to maintain like a steady camera the entire time. So I do apologize for that. So anyways, I think I was just talking about how the Hanathon kept me, really busy and everything. And I still have a couple people to write their numbers down so that we can do the giveaway. And I think we're going to do it on Sunday again. Like the same time we were supposed to do it last week. I got to talk to Brandy though and see what's going on with her. She's been suffering from some tooth pain and some migraines lately, so I got to see what's going on with her with when we want to do this. So yeah, so I wasn't able to do it last week because Saturday night when I went to bed, my leg was definitely like hurting more, like it was kind of on fire, and I showed my husband this little spot that had been when we took the tape off that morning, which was on Friday. It had pulled up like a tiny piece of the scar, and that was just developing, and so there was like a little open spot right there. Anyways, so Saturday, 24 hours after this happened, I showed my husband and I was like, I'm a little bit concerned about this spot. It's pretty red, and it just didn't look good. It didn't look horrible or anything. It was real red and swollen a little bit, and you could see a little bit of fluid on the top. So I was like, yeah, and he's like, yeah, let's keep an eye on it, So I was like, well, Monday I will talk to my nurses and go from there. So fast forward to the morning, I woke up and I was just, that feeling when you're sick and you feel like you literally got hit by a truck, your whole body hurts, you're hot but you're cold at the same time. Like my back hurt so bad, my leg was on fire, and like the entire site around it was really, really red, and I was like, that's probably not good. So I took my temperature and it was 99.5, so I was like, okay, that's not too bad. Definitely not like freak out mode temperature. So I was like, all right, I'll just take some ibuprofen and, keep an eye on it. So about an hour after I took 4 ibuprofen, I was like, dang, I feel worse than I did before. So I was like, well, I'll take my temperature. So I took it again, and it was 101.2, I believe. I know it was 101. I thought it was 0.2, but I'm not 100% sure. So then I was like, okay, so I guess I'll take Tylenol, because sometimes like ibuprofen works better for pain and Tylenol works better for fever reduce. So I took 3 Tylenol. And so at this point I had 4 ibuprofen and 3 Tylenol in me. And I was laying on the couch, just kind of resting, watching TV, and I started getting a headache, which I get a lot of times when I get a fever. I call them a fever headache because it's like a certain kind of a headache. So I started getting a really bad headache and just feeling really icky, you know, like I felt nauseous. I just did not feel good at all. And so I was like, well, I better check my temperature again. So this is 2 hours after ibuprofen and about an hour-ish after Tylenol. And it, you know what I just noticed? Y'all probably can't see super well because of the lights. I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna go and close the blinds because that's not very fun to have to, I don't know. Anyway, so this was, like I said, 2 hours after I'd taken ibuprofen and an hour after I took Tylenol. I was like, I'll just take my temperature again and see where it's at. At that point, it was 102.9. Now, my normal temperature runs about 97.3. So, hold on, whoa! I almost spilled all of those. That was not good. Anyway, my normal temp is 97.3. So, they always say, for me, to like, basically you want to add a number, a degree on to whatever it says, because I run low or something. So my, like, for me, a fever is like, if it's 98.6, that's a temperature for me, because normally I'm, you know, a degree and some lower. Anyway, so I was 102.9 according to the thermometer, so that would make it like 103.9, whatever. I was like, I just felt really, really miserable. So my mom had messaged me to say something I couldn't remember, and I was like, oh, happy Mother's Day. And she was like, oh, she asked me what was wrong or something, and I told her, and she's like, well, you better call the nurses right now, because then maybe they can, you know, talk to the doctor and, and maybe get you some antibiotics or something. So I was like, okay. So I was like, well, hopefully, yeah, they can just talk to the on-call doctor and they'll, like, call me in something. So I call the nurses, which is the in-home health care. They come 3 times a week. If you haven't been following the story, they come 3 times a week and change my wound vac. And so I called them, and because they have somebody on call and it's working all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I called them and kind of told them what was going on, and as soon as she was like, do you have a fever? And I was like, yes. And I told her, I said, I don't know what it like is actually, because I've taken, you know, fever reducing medication. And she's like, okay, so what is it now? And so I told her, and she's like, yeah, you need to go to the ER like right now. And I was like, so you don't think they could just call me in something? She's like, no, unfortunately, nobody's gonna call you in anything without seeing you. It's too much of a liability. Like, you know, you want to make sure you get the right medication, and, like, you know, just, yeah, it would be irresponsible of them to just send in an antibiotic without knowing if there's an infection. So I was like, okay. So then she was like, so yeah, you need to go in. And I'm like, okay, can this wait till, like, tomorrow? Because it was Sunday. So I'm, like, thinking, you know, Monday, doctor's office would be open, all that stuff, you know. She's like, no, you need to go, like, now. And I was like, okay, so, where should I go? She goes, well, I can tell you this. If you go to the urgent care, they're going to send you to the ER anyways. So if it were me, I'd just go straight to the ER. So I hung up, and I literally just fell apart. Like, I was so upset that this was happening, for one, and I'm like, it's Mother's Day, for 2, And so I was just really upset. And it's been a lot, and for the most part I'm fine, and like I'm okay, you know, for the most part. But like I have my moments for sure, and this was one of my moments. Like I just fell apart. So I was, you know, my husband was like, well, this is what, you know, where you need to be. You need to go in, you need to get antibiotics, like, you know, the whole 9 yards. And I was like, I know, I just don't want to go anywhere. And you know, I was like, I don't want to go. It's funny because I know, like, obviously when you're really sick, you need to be there, but I'm like, that's the last place you want to go, is sit in a waiting room for 2 hours or something, you know, before they get you back. And so I was like, I just don't want to go and just sit there and, you know, be there all day and everything. And my husband's like, well, you don't really have a choice. So my mom messaged me back, and she's like, how come you didn't call me back? And I was like, well, I'm sorry, I'm a little too upset to, like, call. And I told her, I was like, yeah, they are saying I have to go in. And she's like, I'll be there in 30. Like, she didn't even let me ask her, or make me ask her, I guess you could say. Seth could have done it, but then, you know, the kids would be here all day. And which they're old enough, but that's a lot to put on Alex when, you know, with Maddie. Like, it's just a lot to expect of him. And he gets a little nervous sometimes with her blood sugars. So, you know, obviously that was not the ideal situation. So my mom was just like, yeah, I'll be there in 30. I was like, okay. Felt so bad. I'm like, oh great, so great Mother's Day present to my mom is, yeah, you get to go and be in the ER. She was like, I think this was your secret ploy to get to see me today. And I was like, yep, you know me, I love to make up things so I can go to the ER. So, you know, she made me feel better about it. She obviously was like, this is where she wants to be, and I get that as a mom. Like, your kids are sick, you want to be with them, you want to help them in any way you can. So it was very nice of her. I'm just moving my canvas, you guys, because I finished this section, and the only part I have left is over here, but I need to turn it so that I can, like, have access to that area. So just in case you were wondering what I was doing. Anyway, so she came, picked me up. We went to the ER. And we have this ER in town that is, it's not an actual hospital. It's not an urgent care. It is a full ER, but there isn't a hospital attached to it. So usually it's less busy, and so it's like 2 minutes from my house. I was like, let's just go there. And so we went there. We got there, and you know, went up to the front desk, and the gal asked why we were there and all that good stuff. So we told her, and she, you know, told me to have a seat, and so I did. And you know, we're kind of bracing ourselves for this big wait, and all of a sudden the triage nurse comes out, and she's like, oh, okay, you want to come back? It's like, okay. So if you've never gone to the ER, at least this is how it is here every other time I've gone. So you basically, you get there, you go in, you check in. Then the triage nurse calls you back and gives you some false hope about going back right away. And there is never that hope, right? She does a triage, and then she sends you back out. And so I was like, I told my mom, I was like, just wait here, I'll be back. And so she did. I get back there, I tell the triage nurse what's going on, and she, you know, was like, okay. She's like, hang tight. And I was like, should I go back to the waiting room? She's like, nope, just stay there. And I was like, okay. So I did. She came back a couple minutes later, and she's like, all right, let's go. And I'm like, am I going back right now? She's like, yep. And so I had to go grab my mom. So we went to the back, and we were talking to her about, like, you know, she was like, yeah, people come all the time for things that are, like, not emergencies. And she was trying to say it without saying it. And so she was like, yeah, people come and they're like, you know, and I said, not an emergency? And she's like, exactly. I was like, yeah. I said, I was kind of questioning whether this was or not. And she's like, no, this is an emergency, and you need to be here, and you need to, you know, like, that's why you came back right away. So, she left, and the nurse came in right after that, and, hooked me up to IVs, and I had 4 bags going of fluid. 4, yeah. And they were just wide open, and I'm just like, I had to pee probably every 15 minutes. It was ridiculous. The reason they were giving me so much fluid was, one, when you have a fever, it dehydrates you, like, I think it was like 3 times as quick or something. Can't remember what she said, but anyway. And then the other thing was, is my heart rate, which I did not know this, because it didn't feel like it was, but my heart rate was like 150 laying down, resting. And that is a sign of sepsis. And I have been septic before, back, I want to say in 2016, I think. Anyways, so I was like, oh gosh, so they're taking all this blood, and I mean, they took so much blood that I was like, am I gonna die now? Like, not really, but you know what I mean? Like, I was like, a lot of blood. She goes, okay, we will finish taking blood in 15 minutes. And I was like, okay. So apparently they have to wait 15 minutes and then retake it. There's this whole thing when you are determining if somebody is sepsis or not. So they did all that, and then the doctor came in, and, you know, he was talking to me, and he was like, okay, we need to do a CAT scan because we need to make sure that you don't have an abscess, like, inside of the wound. And I was like, okay. And then he was like, and I know you're allergic to contrast dye, but we have to use it. He was like, this is one of those times where the risks, like, the benefit outweigh the risks. Well, like, when I was younger and I had the allergic reaction, it was really bad. Like, I got really, really nauseous, and I was like in second grade, and I remember some of it. I remember getting really nauseous, and then like, my whole body, I got hives over my entire body. And so they were treating me, and because I was actually in the hospital when it happened, and so they had given me all this medication to stop the reaction, but they had, like, all these popsicle sticks next to, like, they were, like, taped to the bed, and my mom was like, what are those? And they're like, those are just to be, we're just so that we're ready if she does stop breathing. My mom's like, oh, wonderful. But I didn't. I was okay. But they said it could have went there. So it could have gone there because I was, you know, swelling with these hives all over my body and everything. And they had treated it, luckily, soon enough. So we have no idea, like, what the full reaction would be. And so, anyways, he's like, we're gonna pre-treat you, and with Benadryl, Zyrtec, and steroids, and then we'll just, you know, be watching you really closely. And he's like, plus the IV contrast dye has changed a lot, you know, in the last 20 years. So more than that, but, you know. So he was like, so oh my gosh, my anxiety was like through the flippin' roof. And so I have Xanax in my purse for panic attacks. So I'm like, the nurse was gone, and so I'm like digging in my purse because I'm like freaking out that I have to have this IV contrast dye, that I'm already in the hospital again. They're talking about surgery. They're talking about all this crap that I'm like, ah! And so the nurse comes in, I'm like, and I could not find my meds. I was like, so when you can't find your panic attack meds, it just makes you panic more. So the lady, you know, the nurse asked, and so I told her, and she was like, oh, no, we'll get it. So she went out to get it, and she brings it back, and she gives it to me, so I take it. And I normally take 0.25 milligrams because I don't take it very often. So the really low dose works for me when I'm, having a panic attack or something. Well, they gave me like 1.5 milligrams or something like that. Yeah. I remember a lot, but not everything. And when I was, they brought me back to the CAT scan, and I remember talking to the guy that was doing it, and I remember I was shaking because I was still really nervous about the medication, and he was like, "Everybody's ready. If anything happens, you're here in the hospital. Everybody knows what's your situation. So if they need to breathe for you, they will. Like we've got it covered." And he's like, "And I will be with you the entire time, watching you, and so you're okay." So I'm like, "Okay." So we did it, and that medicine, I hate how it like makes you feel warm everywhere, and then it makes you feel like you're about to like pee your pants. If you've ever had IV contrast dye for a CAT scan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You don't pee your pants, but you feel like it. And so yeah, and everything was fine. I was good. I did not have a reaction to it, which was wonderful. But then, I get back to the room and they're like, "Yeah, so," I said, "So when do you think I'll be going home today?" And she's like, "You're not going home today." And I'm like, "Oh." She's like, "Yeah, you're not going anywhere." She's like, "You are septic, honey. You are staying in the hospital." And they were like talking about 2 weeks. And I was like, what? And they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna transport you by ambulance to the hospital, downtown." And I'm just like, yeah, very upset at this point. I didn't say anything to her because it's not her fault, but I was just really, really upset that I now had to stay at the hospital. And, I'm thinking, I wish I would have never came, and like all this. And I had already had a round of IV antibiotics at that point. And so my mom I'm like, "I have orders to fill, and it's Seth's birthday tomorrow." And like, I was like, "And I have the Hanathon rewards to do, and just all of this stuff." I'm like, "I don't have time to be in the hospital." And so my mom agreed to wait, call the ambulance, so my mom could go home, because we only live like 5 minutes away, go home and pack up some stuff for me to take. So she got some stuff that would entertain me. She got some little like, snack-sized diamond paintings. And she brought some of the Hannah Lynn cover binders for me to glue magnets on, even though she forgot the glue, but that's okay. And then she brought my markers and my coloring books. And she brought my computer, because I was like, I have to have my computer, because I need to message everybody and tell them why their orders are going to be late, So I was like really worried about that. So she gets back, and they call the ambulance, and they get there like really quickly, actually. I guess that's their specialty. Getting places quickly. So they get there and they come in, and I'm like really nervous, and they could tell, and they're like, "What are you scared of?" I'm like, I get really car sick, and you're talking about putting me in the back of an ambulance backwards, like when I get sick in the front seat, And so they're like, I was like, "Can you give me something for that so I don't throw up on you?" And he's like jokingly taps my arm, and it's like, "Yeah, you can just deal with it." And anyways, but they did. They gave me something. I don't know when, I don't know what, because they never said it, but I knew they did because I did not get sick. And like, I'm not kidding you, I can get sick in like a 5-minute car ride. It's a little bit sad, but anyways, like anywhere I go, if I'm not driving, I have to take Dramamine, even if it's like a 5-10 minute drive. But so we get into the ambulance, And, you know, I guess I was still nervous. So I swear to God, you guys, I swear to you that they had slipped me something in the IV, because they didn't say anything, but I don't remember a lot of the ambulance ride. Like, it's a vague blur to me. The only thing I remember was, like, at one point I opened my eyes and I looked outside through the back window, and I put my finger up and I was like, this is where I thought we would be. I remember doing that. Like, why did I say that? And I don't even know where we were anymore. Like, I can't remember where we were. I just remember saying that. And they kind of laughed. And so then we get to the hospital. We get, like, coming out of the ambulance. Oh my gosh. If you have never had to be in an ambulance before, getting out of the ambulance is freaking scary, because you're, like, up high, right, on the bed, and they just wheel you over it. Now, yes, the wheels come out and, like, you don't fall, but it feels like you're just gonna, like, fall over the edge of the truck. And so they're like, that we go in, I'm like, am I gonna have to go on an elevator? And they're like, yeah. They're like, are you claustrophobic? I'm like, of course I am. I'm scared of everything. Have you not figured this out yet? And so he was like, it's all right. It's a short elevator ride. I'm like, okay. Don't remember the elevator ride. And then we got up to the room. I don't really remember anything else that night much. Like, I slept, but I don't really remember anything. It was weird. So I did wake up about 3 a.m. And when my nurse came in to switch my IVs, I was on different IVs, like, every half hour, it seemed like, for antibiotics and stuff. And so, like, I was awake, and she's like, oh yeah, those steroids they gave you will probably, you know, make it hard to sleep, since your anti-anxiety medication has probably wore off. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I was awake a lot that night, and even if I was trying to sleep, like, they wake you up so gosh darn much. It's like, how are you supposed to get rest in the hospital anyways? So I don't know, it was really early Monday morning, and I got my clothes on, and I did a couple, like, loops on the floor that I was on, and 2 nurses were like, you're supposed to be resting. I'm like, I know, but that's all I've been doing, and I'm bored, and I don't sit well. I don't, like, it's gotta be, like, the ADHD in me. I just can't. I have a really hard time just sitting. So, anyways, my doctor came in, and his PA, who I had just seen, like 2 or 3 days before that, she's like, I just saw you, and everything was totally fine. I'm like, I know. And they had no explanation to why I was so sick the day before, and then the next day I was so much better. Like, they're like, there's no medical explanation for that, because my blood work from the day before to that morning was, like, monumentally different. And my fever was gone, and it was just like, it was a miracle. Like, I literally was, yeah, they had no reason to say why I was better so fast, because even they were like, even with all the antibiotics and everything, like, you know, you don't recover this quickly from something like this, and especially me, because my immune system is not great. But I was like, you know, it's God. Like, to me, it was a no-brainer for me that it was God. You know, I had so many of you guys praying for me. I was on prayer chains, and my family, my friends, and all of you guys are so freaking amazing. And I know that, like, you know, those prayers were heard. And he wanted to keep me for a week, and I begged him to let me go home. Like, begged him. I was like, I have in-home health, like, care. The nurses come. They take care of it. You know, I'm like, I will rest. And he's like, let me talk to the other doctor and we'll see. So then he came in and he was like, okay, I will let you go, but you have to follow all these rules and guidelines. I was like, okay, I'll do anything. Like, yes. So, I was already dressed at this point. Hold on, I gotta get a little drink. So yeah, I was already dressed and everything, and so he's like, all right, you gotta check your temperature every 3 hours. You need to check your pulse every 3 hours. I have to check if it like reddens at all, like more than it was, then I have to come back. If my fever goes over 100.4, I have to go back. If I start having more pain, I need to go back. If I just feel crummy, I need to go back. Like all of these things. So I said, yeah, I will, I promise. So, my grandma came and picked me up and she was like, are you sure you should be coming home? I'm like, I don't know, but I don't care right now. Like, I just want to go home. You know, I can rest better at home anyways because nobody's going to be coming in to check on me and all constantly. But it was kind of funny because the girl, one of my nurses, it was her 4th day. And she was like new. She was shadowing somebody else and he was helping her do everything, and like she didn't even know what augmentin was or how to pronounce it. So this is how new she was. So she was gonna pack the dressing, and she starts doing it, and her person that she's shadowing wasn't in there yet. And I'm like, wait. I'm like, it's supposed to be wet to dry. So you put saline gauze inside of the wound and then dry on the outside. She's like, oh, okay. Well, and then the other nurse comes in and is like, you need to do that wet to dry. And she looks at me. She's like, oh, okay, you were right. I'm like, yeah, no, imagine that. I'm like, I've done it, you know, I've been doing it anytime if the wound vac came off or anything, like, that's what I did until the nurse came. So, they packed it up and discharged me, and her lead person she was following said, you can call transport, and if you can't get anybody, if they're all busy, then you just have to do it. And she's like, okay. So she never left the room. So I don't know how she called transport or what. Because she never left the room. And then she was just like, okay, let's go. And so I'm like, okay. So, and then he also told her, like, you get a wheelchair. Especially, I mean, come on, this is my leg that I have to walk on. So she's like, and again, she didn't leave the room. And she says, I couldn't get anybody, and I couldn't find a wheelchair, so I'll just walk you down. I'm like, okay. So I pick up my purse. She picks up all my other bags, which, mind you, I have a computer in. I have all of my Ohuhu markers, 168 of them. I have coloring books. I have diamond paintings. Like, my bags were not light, y'all. They were not light at all. So oh shoot, I wanted to do this. I want to do this in globe glass. I'll fix it later. Anyway. So we're walking, and they're heavy bags, and she's like, oh, let me see if I can find a wheelchair. And, so she puts the bags down, she walks around for about 5 minutes, comes back, and she's like, yeah, I couldn't find one. I was like, okay. So we continue on our way. So she takes me to the elevators. We go in the elevators, and we get out of the elevators, and she's like, oh, this isn't the right floor. I'm like, okay, so we get back in. So we get back, the door's open again, and we get out, and she's looking around. She's like, I could tell she was lost. I'm like, do you know where we're going? And she's like, no, I really don't. And I'm like, okay, maybe we could ask somebody. So they're like, oh yeah, you need to go to this floor. And so we get back on the elevator, we ride down to the lobby, which should have been obvious, but whatever. I wasn't pushing the buttons, and I was trying to bite my tongue. But I was a little irritated just because, like, you know, my leg hurt, and here I am walking all over the hospital and standing and all this. So anyway, we get out of the elevator, and we go like this way, and you know, we're like walking. We finally come to a door. The door is locked. It is the ICU door. And I'm like kind of waiting for her to open it. She's like, I don't know the passcode. And I'm like, you don't have the passcode? And she's like, no, it's a different code for every door, and I don't remember this one. And I'm thinking, can't you like call your supervisor? Because they all have like these little walkie-talkie phones that they talk to each other on. And she's like, I don't know if you pick up. And I'm like, okay, so like, so we're standing there. She sees somebody in the ICU, so she starts knocking on the window. And this person, it's not a worker, and they're looking at her like, I don't know if I should let you in. And I'm like, show her your badge, like show her you work here. You know, she'll let us in then. She's like, oh yeah. So she shows her the badge, and they let us in immediately. She's like, that was a good idea. And I'm like, yeah, thanks, you know. So we get out of the elevator, we get out of the doors, we go through the other doors, and then you either can go right or left. She's taking a right, and I'm like, the lobby is right there, like to the left, like you could literally see it from where we were. And this poor girl like had no idea. She's like, oh, okay. And so we walk over there, and like we go out, and then there is, to the left of the lobby, there is elevators. And the elevators upstairs, there were 2 sets. She goes, oh, I took you in the wrong elevators, because the right elevators we were supposed to go in would have brought us out right there in the lobby. So yeah, it would have saved a ton of walking and all of this. So I get outside, and I am like, by this time, I'm pretty exhausted, not gonna lie. My grandma's standing out there waiting for us. It took us 17 minutes from the time we left my hospital room to the time we got outside to where my grandma was. 17 minutes that I was walking around carrying my bag. So my grandma, to say the least, she's a little irritated. I was a little bit irritated. I didn't want to get the girl in trouble because she was new. But, like, I wanted her to know, like, you know, this probably is not a good idea. Especially if, like, your patient has something going on with one of their legs. Like, find a wheelchair. You don't, you know, you just find one. Even if you have to go farther or ask somebody or go to a different floor. Like, but again, I don't think she ever asked for transportation because she never left the room. So unless she's like a magician and can telepathically call somebody, she didn't call anybody. So yeah, we got outside to my grandma, and we load my stuff up in the car, and you know, we drive off, and my grandma, of course, is like, are you sure you should be coming home? Are you sure? I'm like, yeah, grandma, I'm fine. Sorry, my phone is ringing. Anyways, I'm like, I'm fine, grandma. And so she's like, you promised me, you know, all these things. If it gets bad, all that. And I'm like, it's like, I promise, grandma, I will. She, you know, was having a little bit of a hard time with it because my papa, her husband, died of being septic, and he was in the hospital. They did not know. He had the flu, was sick, and they had taken, I think, blood work that morning, and he died in the afternoon, and so it was really quick, and so she, you know, is terrified of being septic, and here I am getting diagnosed with it, and then, you know, leaving the hospital the next day. So she was very hesitant on it, but I promised her I would go back, I wouldn't wait, you know, all that stuff. So, but I tell you what, if I have to go back, I'm gonna feel like a dum head. Like, I'm gonna feel like the biggest idiot for begging them to let me come home. But I am doing better. I'm doing much better. So we're just hoping that we stay on that route, because in their opinion, like, okay, and this might, if you get really squeamish about stuff, then this will be too much, but it's not a lot. Just if you're really bad about that stuff. But the amount of drainage I still have coming out of the wound is still enough for me to be on the wound vac. But my skin and body could not take it anymore at that point. And so they're like, so we need to discontinue it, and, you know, do just the saline gauze dressing and hope it works, because if it doesn't work, then I will end up back on the wound vac and have to probably get a PICC line in and have constant antibiotics until I'm able to get off of the wound vac. So we are hoping that my wound heals, you know, at a good time, like, and it doesn't get infected again and all that stuff. We are just praying that it goes the way, you know, it should. Now, one thing that I think a lot of you probably are confused about, because even my in-home health nurse wasn't sure until I clarified it, the wound itself did not get infected. It was not the wound itself that got infected. It was the surrounding skin. So it was cellulitis, is what it's called. And it just got really bad. So, yeah, the wound itself actually didn't look too bad. It was swollen and red, obviously, because all the skin around it was infected. Like, it went all the way around my hip, all the way to my little butt crack. Where it was just, you know, red and swollen. But yeah, it wasn't the actual wound itself, so that's something that I don't, you know, like, my mom didn't know that until I clarified it with her and everything. So the wound looks pretty good, and I had my nurse come today and do it. She said, yeah, she's like, your skin looks so much better than the last time she saw me, and it did. It really, really does. So I'm really hoping that we can stay on what we're doing, which I wouldn't imagine that we couldn't. This thing that the dressing they have me put on is like the size of a piece of gauze, but it says you can even have it on for up to 7 days. And I'm not kidding you, I wanted to see how much fluid it could hold, so, like, I poured the water in it, and it's like a maxi pad, I mean, or like a diaper. It absorbed so much water. Like, it was insane how much water it absorbed. And then it was dry on both sides. So, like, that's the idea, is to keep my skin dry. So, but I'm not kidding you. I was blown away with, like, how much that thing could absorb, because it lasted 12 hours for me, which just doesn't, no, my thing, I tend to leak and drain more than most people do, but it lasted 12 hours, so I was very, very pleased. Very, very pleased with that. So, but I, of course, would love your continued prayers and everything, because we want it to continue to heal and everything, so that we can get on to the next chapter, which is radiation and whatever else. So They just can't do radiation until it's healed. So that's why we haven't done it yet. But. So that is kind of the whole shebang of what happened. So yeah, hopefully that answers everybody's questions that have been asking me, you know, like what happened and, you know, am I okay and all this stuff. So I hope that answers all of your questions. Obviously, if you have more questions, you can feel free to message me. I don't mind. Just be patient because I have been getting a lot of messages, so it's just been hard to get back to everybody like right away. So I just ask for some patience, please. But yeah. And I've been feeling pretty good. I mean, for the most part, I just get tired easier, but other than that, you know, it's not too bad. But yeah, my husband and daughter are gone right now. I don't know where they went. I think they went to the river or to a little place to go walk. I'm not sure where they went. But we did get a new car this week because I know I've talked about it a couple times. Our other car was breaking down. It was not safe. The wheel felt like it was about to pop off, and not in a good way. And so yeah, we finally, Seth finally found one, and so we got that. So I think it's kind of like any excuse to drive it kind of thing, because they've gone places every day since we've got it. And the night we got it, he went out that night. He's like, I'm just gonna go drive it around and see what it's like in the dark. I'm like, okay. So he's definitely excited about this one. And normally I'm the one that goes out, finds a car, because I go with my papa, and he tells me like, yep, this is a good car or not, and I just say I like it or not. And that's kind of how it's been. But since he is gone, I was like, I don't even want to do it. Like, so my husband did all of the searching and researching and found that Subaru Foresters were really, really good cars. And you know, most people know Subarus are typically a really well-made car that can last you a long time. So he found a Subaru Forester, and I believe it's a 12, but it only has 63,000 miles on it. So it's like insane how many, like, it's just, yeah. And it was only one owner. Like, we got the Carfax for it, only one owner before. So it was a pretty good deal, and it's black. I will try to insert pictures right here so that you can see. Maybe I'll do a little like car vlog thing, but I can't drive, so I can't really drive anywhere and do one. But I will when I'm able to drive again, which hopefully won't be too much longer. But yeah. So yeah, today I have really I haven't really done much except for diamond paint, and I've done a little bit of work. But I know everybody keeps telling me, rest, it's okay. Like, you know, people understand. And I know, I do. But it's still hard for me to, like, sit and know that there's orders that need to be filled that aren't being filled. So I don't know, like, I have a hard time with it. So the kids and Seth have helped me, like, bring the ones I need to me, and then I can sit at the coffee table and glue magnets on and print stuff out, and they can bring me the stuff I print out and all that. So it's not like a ton of work, physical work, on me. So, and after I am done with this section, I am going to work on my tins. And yeah, that was something that really kind of set me off today. And I don't know, maybe I'm being petty, I don't know, immature about it, but it's kind of just, I don't know, the way I feel. And I don't get mad at people very easily. It usually takes me quite a bit to be upset with someone. Hold on, gotta get a drink. And like, with the shop, you know, you have to know that people are going to copy your cover binders. Like, that it just is what it is. And I, you know, at first it kind of irritated me a little bit when, you know, I would come out with something and then somebody would come out with it like 2 weeks after that or something. But I don't even care anymore. It's like, whatever. You know, people will still buy, you know, if they want to come to me, they'll come to me. If they want to go to them, they'll go to them. I'm not a real competitive person. I really am. Just like, I would rather help somebody out, which I do when, you know, people ask me, especially if like they are just starting a shop and they need help. Like, I've been helping Brandy get her shop up and going. I'm just not competitive that way. However, I was a little upset today. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm just keeping it real. I ain't gonna name any names, but most of you who have been following me know that I do like hand painted tins for cover minders, and while I don't like own it, of course, and people want to do those, fine, not a big deal. But what I was kind of upset about was that somebody is now doing Hannah Lynn tins, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this is like, I started this, like, I don't even know. When I first messaged her asking her, it was, I believe, in February or March, when I got, you know, permission to do so. And I have not had them out yet because of obvious reasons, but it just, like, I don't know, when somebody takes an idea and they change it a little bit, I don't have an issue. When you do exactly what somebody else is doing, I don't know. I don't know. It's bugging me. I'll say that. It's bugging me. And I don't know how I should feel. I don't know if I'm being, like, overly dramatic or immature or what. I don't know. Because I'm definitely more emotional right now. And I know that for sure. Like, 100%. Because it's just the way it is right now because of everything that's going on health-wise. But yeah, so that kind of upset me, and especially because, like, all the money for these tins are going to my daughter's health, and they're going for her, you know, diabetes care and getting her service dog. So I just kind of, I don't know, it felt like a jab. I know it's not. I know nobody's doing it on purpose to upset me or anything. It's just how I feel, I guess. I don't know. I feel, and I tell people this too, when you open a shop, do something original. Do something nobody else has done yet to get people's attention, you know. But I feel like, I don't know. I can't say it in words because I don't want to say the wrong thing, because I don't want to offend anybody or upset anybody else. But I am upset. So it's just, I don't even know. Like, I'll get over it and I'll move on, and it will be not even a thing tomorrow because I'm pretty good about just letting things go. But at the same time, it still kind of feels like unfair to me. But, you know, it is what it is, right? Can't change what other people do. That's on them. So, you know, I just gotta keep pushing forward and doing what I do and trying as best I can, you know. I can't change anyone else. I can only change myself and better myself. So I'm sure something good will come out of this. It always does, you know. I mean, I had to get sick and septic, but I'm free of the wound vac for now. So I'll take that. So, oh, something that good happened to me today, though. I'll tell you this, and then I will go because we are probably pushing over an hour. But my mom came over today after work, and she said, "Oh, I got something for you." So when she got this in the mail at her house, and it was, hold on. Let me show you. Hold on. Okay, so this is what she got, right? I don't want to show you their address, so. And it looks like junk mail, doesn't it? It just looks like, oh, like a credit card, whatever. But she was like, I don't know. So she opened it and found out that it was not junk mail. That I had an account at Bank of America, like, I don't even know, I think it was 2013, I believe, and I don't remember this, so, but, I had an account with them, and this was I have 30 days to go claim my money that is in the account. I didn't even know I had an account, nonetheless did I know I had money in the account, and I was like, okay, so that pays for the new car key and fob that we have to get because it did not come with one. And also there was a missing visor. And we can get those things at the car dealership's price, but we still had to get those. So I'm like, this is going to pay for those and then some. So I was like, yeah, to just basically, it's like, here, it's just $170 out of nowhere, you know. That was pretty cool and uplifting. It was a good point in my day, and I'm so glad my mom opened it because I guess otherwise it would go to the government. Like, if it wasn't claimed, then they just give it to the government. I'm like, oh, lovely, okay. So I'm gonna go claim that. You better believe it. You better believe it. Anyways, I'm going to go because I'm going to go work on my tins and get them up for you guys. So I hope you guys have a absolutely wonderful day. Thank you so much for being here for me, supporting me. I appreciate it so much. And don't forget, as always, you are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think, and you are definitely loved more than you know. With that, keep on shining, and I'll see you later. Bye, guys. I hope I see you tomorrow at my live 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Bye. Thank you for watching, and if you haven't already and would like to subscribe, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below and the bell icon so you can be notified anytime I put up a new video.